Bigotry and racism based on one's skin pigmentation is morally repulsive and wrong. It should never occur. Unfortunately, it is the circumstance oftentimes around the world. But race hustling and falsely accusing people of such action is also a heinous act. Found guilty of defaming Hank's old Irish pub in Cape Town, Christopher Logan is now seeking a rescission of a default judgment the Western Cape High Court granted against him in November 2024, in which he was ordered to pay 1.25 million rand in damages to the owners of Hank's old Irish pub on Bree Street, whom he accused of racism. Logan lodged a rescission application on Friday, December 13, 2024, following a default judgment which was granted after he failed to enter an appearance to defend. Logan was ordered to pay 500,000 rand to John Papadakis business as special damages for loss of income, 250,000 rand as general damages to the business, and 250,000 in damages to each of the owners as general damages. In addition, Logan was also liable for paying interest on all of those damages. So where did all this start? Back in December of 2022, Logan accused John Papadakis of racism and claimed his friend Tabiso Danko was denied entry to the pub because of his race. The police also opened an assault case against Papadakis based on Logan's claim that he was attacked at the pub the next day. But the National Prosecuting Authority later declined to prosecute based on no evidence, despite having filmed the event. In August 2023, following an extensive police investigation, Hank's old Irish pub was cleared of assault and criminal injuria emanating from Logan's bogus racism allegations. However, a complaint of racism against the pub was still before the Equality Court at that time. In response to that investigation outcome, the pub released a press statement claiming the police had found the allegations of racism were fabricated by individuals seeking to exploit a situation for personal gain. The pub's statement claimed that Logan approached the pub the day after the alleged racism incident, which resulted in the owners opening a case of assault after he allegedly became aggressive. In turn, charges of assault and racial misconduct were brought against the pub's owners. Now, the National Prosecuting Authority denied saying Logan created a false narrative, but rather there were two mutually destructive versions from both sides. National Prosecuting Authority spokesperson Eric Insa Bazila said the case was not withdrawn, but never enrolled. In other words, they never started a case. The video evidence did not assist in the case. The prosecutor will only prosecute the complaint of criminal injuria, which is mentioned in one of the two dockets. Criminal injuria. Wow, this sounds like a case for the captured South African Human Rights Commission. And right on cue, the clowns roll in. South African Human Rights Commissioner Chris Nissen said that when he heard about the incident and saw the video footage, a process was undertaken to begin an investigation into the incident. Well, that sounds reasonable. He stated, as a commission, we are saying it is disgraceful from the side of the owners and everyone else who might have given those alleged instructions to the bouncer. That bouncer could not have acted on his own, but acted due to instructions. We live in a democratic South Africa where public spaces must be open to everyone. So a bouncer could not have acted on his own without instructions. What dimension is Chris Nissen living in? Employees all too often take actions outside the scope of their assigned duties all over the world. It's a major reason why businesses carry liability insurance. What a deuce to make such a stupid statement. Now, South African Human Rights Commission stated the commission has since read media reports about the SAP's investigation that seems to have come to a conclusion of fabrication. However, the commission has not made any finding itself in this regard and will be considering the matter further before coming to any conclusions. Really? So the police, a higher authority than this bogus commission, determined there was no merit to it, but you're going to continue to investigate. Why? And they continued. The commission very rarely receives complaints that are fabricated or manifestly untrue. Really? Endless lies about racism across South Africa. They pop up all the time and right on the spot. Very right on the spot. What about the Ebenezer bogus claim in the Northern Cape that took place just before the 2019 World Cup? Racism. What about the cricket case? Racism. What about this case? Racism. All lies, all fabricated by clowns looking for personal profit or gain or attention. But you rarely receive complaints that are fabricated or manifestly untrue. And the piling on commenced, folks. Government Communication Information System Director General Pumla Williams said the following. It is horrifying and outrageous that the tendencies of apartheid South Africa keep rearing their ugly head. Except it didn't happen. As a country, we are working hard to deal with crucial challenges such as a huge inequality gap, which has nothing to do with the allegations. The legacy of the past, which has nothing to do with the allegations, which is also a contributing factor to racism. Well, your garbage and race hustling is what's fueling racism. The eradication of racism can only happen on a human-to-human level, and when we recognize and accept that we have more in common that unites us rather than divides us. Actually, Pumla, it can only end when race hustlers stop being such blatant bigots, instantly assuming that skin color denotes racism. Apparently, speaking for South Africa's government and exposing the rank hatred and bigotry inherent in the African National Congress government, Williams also stated, government also compliments Danka's friend Christopher Logan, who came to the defense of his friend. The same Christopher Logan who now refuses to pay damages for slandering that pub. Strange folks that the South African government counts among its friends, eh? In typically condescending manner, Williams said South Africans needed to work harder to address the scourge of racism that was dehumanizing, discriminatory, and humiliating, and to not undermine democracy. She called on all South Africans to follow Logan's lead and take a stand against racism. Well, I would suggest that no South Africans listen to her stupid advice. Do not jump to false conclusions that confirm your bigotry against white South Africans. Do not lie to push a false narrative for attention or political gain. And do not be a Mampara. That's what I would advise, not Pumla Williams' stupid advice. Racism will end once those committing these acts recognize and understand that only they can stop it. It is the responsibility of all members of society to actively speak out against racism and promote equality. Well, Pumla Williams is correct, and she would do well to follow her own advice and shut her yap. But the clown car show was not confined to the captured South African Human Rights Commission or to the African National Congress government itself. Malema and the malcontents also had to jump on board the SS race hustler. The FF vowed not to allow the pub to reopen. Why? Why would you not allow the pub to open? And right on cue, the FF in the Western Cape staged a picket outside the closed establishment, further harming the business's reputation and its business, its patronage. Speaking to the media outside Hanks, EFF provincial spokesperson Wandile Kasibe said that the party would not be allowing the pub to reopen following the incident. Why? Who are you? Are you the governing body that issues license to pubs? No. Are you the police? No. Are you a national prosecutor? No. You're just a bunch of jackasses who show up with red berets thinking you're warriors when the only thing you've ever fought over. Never mind. We'll stop there. The actions of Christopher Logan, South African media outlets, Pumla Williams, and arguably even the South African Human Rights Commission did grievous harm to the reputation of Hank's old Irish pub and its owners. Yet to date, none of these entities has offered an apology. Likely on legal advice, one might assume. An apology would, of course, be acknowledgement of guilt. Now, the pub should go after all of those grievance merchants, the race hustlers who undermine their business for political gain or profit, not just Logan. For his part, Logan wants the judgment removed, claiming he was working as a lifeguard in the United States from April to October of 2024 and felt he was not offered an opportunity to challenge the evidence. So now we're importing lifeguards to the USA. Why, Joe Biden? We have plenty of lifeguards here. It's not exactly an H-1B1 special skills visa situation there, being a lifeguard. He said, I believe that the court should have looked at my position with a sense of justice in mind and handled the matter in terms of the Constitution, given that at stake was a possibility that an adverse judgment against me was not only possible, but imminent as a layperson and not legally represented. Well, he said his side was not heard and his constitutional right to access to court was thus breached. But according to Papadakis' attorneys, Logan may still be having a fraught relationship with the truth, not just his allegations of racism at the pub from 2022, but now. In response to the application filed on 13th December, Papadakis' attorney said, we have read Mr. Logan's application for a rescission of judgment. His application contains many false claims and inaccuracies, facts that Mr. Logan are definitely aware of, and therefore he is intentionally attempting to mislead the court. Also said that Logan received the summons in time. Logan failed to mention that he had an attorney and an advocate representing him already at the July 2024 hearing, and that the plaintiffs agreed that Mr. Logan may be provided with a second chance to oppose the summons. So they generously gave him a second chance. The court then made a court order in those terms and provided dates in the court order when Mr. Logan must file all his court processes and pleadings. Logan then failed to file any of the processes and pleadings he was ordered to file by the court. And he's not telling the press of that now. He's not telling the public now. He's going into Propaganda 24, pleading for assistance, pleading for rescission. He was treated unfairly. They added that Logan made no attempt to contact any plaintiffs, their legal representative, or the court until a week before the October hearing. He then pitched up at the 18 October hearing and claimed poverty and ignorance, He addressed the court for approximately 15 minutes and his excuses were rejected. Mr. Logan was fully aware of the court order of July 24, 2024. In an interview with News 24, Logan said the judgment was devastating and an injustice. Really? You ignored the court? You had legal representation. You were afforded a second opportunity, which you ignored. You failed to turn over documents that were requested by the court. And now you seek justice? You had justice. You ignored it. Every aspect of my life has been affected by this. Personal relationships, work relationships, family. I never thought I received death threats in my life. Well, first off, anyone that's making death threat against Mr. Logan needs to cease and desist. You're a criminal. It's a criminal act. You don't threaten someone's life because you disagree with them. But every aspect of your life should be affected by this. You've been exposed as a grievance merchant, someone involved in race hustling, and you've damaged a business and people's personal reputations intentionally. I've become very accustomed to receiving death threats. It's taken a very heavy toll emotionally, even physically. Again, people should not engage in such activity. Now, Logan was 24 at the time of the incident in 2022, and he said he never realized the weight of the situation. On that point, I believe him. He never should have gone to the pub with a videographer the next day to antagonize the owners or to fabricate an incident. Logan also said, we were just normal guys at the time of the incident. We were lifeguards. The pub video that went viral, we didn't record it, and we didn't post it. Someone posted it, and it went viral. Really? So you don't know who recorded the video. You didn't bring them. You didn't stage the entire event. Seems implausible based on what's publicly available. We never released press statements. We never called a press conference or tried to garner any attention. We don't even have social media. None of us post anything on social media. Really? A 24-year-old doesn't have social media. I find that also implausible.
What you talking about, Willis?
All we did was respond to the press asking us what was happening. So from the start, this was never something we even intended. It's almost like this massive situation that we were caught up in. Yeah, of your own making. Your poor judgment led to this. Now, perhaps Christopher Logan is telling the truth, but if he is, why is he never on record making any of these claims prior to losing a financial judgment regarding the case? Also, why has he never refuted the racism charges he made the media? If the media made something of this that it wasn't, why doesn't he come forward and say, well, no, this is just a big misunderstanding? No, Christopher, you knew what you were doing. You intentionally harmed the pub. We do not know your motivations, but we do know what happened, what the police discovered, how the courts refused to pursue the case, and the consequent damage your statements directly caused and what they led to. 24 years old. I had already run a dairy farm, served in the Army, graduated from university, and was about to lead men into combat at 24 years of age. Your actions were not youthful indiscretions or exuberance. They were flat out wrong. Whether it's the bogus allegations against Eben Etzebeth or against Cricket South Africa captain, or this case, or the bogus comments against Ronaldo Cruz, this grievance mercantilism, this race hustling must end. It is as bad as people actually being racist, because the people making such claims are actually racist. You're racist against the people you're attacking because you're presuming that they're racist, or you're just a fraud claiming that they're racist for your own personal gain, whether it's political, financial, or whatever it is. This nonsense needs to stop in South Africa, in America, in Europe. Racism is a horrible thing, but false allegations of racism do lifelong damage to reputations and to businesses. And people never recover from this, particularly in South Africa, where just being called a racist can be devastating, no matter how false the allegation. What say you, folks? Merry Christmas.